When India became independent in 1947, the international situation was very difficult and complicated. At that time, the world was divided into two powerful groups, one led by the United States, USA, and the other led by the Soviet Union, USSR. This situation is known as the Cold War. In such a situation, many countries joined either of these groups. But India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, carefully designed India's foreign policy. He showed great foresight, which means he thought wisely about the future and made decisions to protect India's independence and interests. In short, India became independent when the world was divided into two groups during the Cold War. In this situation, Nehru wisely created India's foreign policy by thinking about the future. Jawaharlal Nehru's role in shaping India's foreign policy and its main objectives. 1. Preserve the hard-earned sovereignty. India had recently become independent, so Nehru wanted to ensure that India remained free and could make its own decisions without interference from other countries. 2. Protect territorial integrity. Nehru aimed to safeguard India's borders and ensure that no part of the country's land was taken by any other nation. 3. Promote rapid economic development. Nehru focused on developing India's economy quickly by improving industries, agriculture, and overall growth. In short, Nehru's foreign policy aimed to keep India independent, protect its borders, and achieve fast economic development. Panchsheel refers to 5 principles of peaceful coexistence announced in 1954 by India's Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and China's Premier. These principles focus on maintaining peace and mutual respect between countries. Principles of India's foreign policy. 1. Non-alignment. India did not join any major power group during the Cold War and remained neutral and independent. 2. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It means, the world as one family. India believes in unity and respect among all nations. 3. Freely and actively participation in international affairs. India actively takes part in global matters and international organizations. 4. Panchsheel. India follows peaceful coexistence and mutual respect in relations with other countries. 5. Anti-imperialism. India opposes colonialism and domination of weaker countries by powerful nations. 6. Peaceful settlement of international disputes. India believes that conflicts should be resolved through dialogue and peaceful means, not war. 7. Disarmament. India supports reducing weapons and promoting global peace. In short, India's foreign policy focuses on peace, independence, cooperation, and solving problems through dialogue instead of war. Policy of non-alignment, an important principle of foreign policy. A major challenge before independent India was to preserve its sovereignty. Means, after independence, India's biggest concern was to remain fully independent and not come under the control or pressure of any powerful country again. Apart from this, India also had to achieve the goal of rapid economic and social development. Means, India was poor and backward, so it needed fast progress in industries, jobs, education, health, and living standards. To achieve these two objectives, India framed the policy of non-alignment as a major principle of its foreign policy. Means, to stay independent and develop properly, India decided not to join any powerful group or alliance. Through this policy, India kept itself away from the conflicting camps of the Cold War and their military organizations like NATO and the Warsaw Pact. Means, during the Cold War, the world was divided into two groups, USA, NATO, and USSR, Warsaw Pact. India did not join either side and stayed neutral. If needed, it could also get financial and social help from both blocs. Means, even though India stayed neutral, it could still take help, money, technology, support, from both USA and USSR whenever needed. Yet, given its size, location and power potential, Nehru envisaged a major role for India in world affairs and especially in Asian affairs. Means, Nehru believed that because India is large, well located, and has strong potential, it could become an important and influential country in the world, especially in Asia. India was a staunch supporter of decolonization process. Means, India strongly supported countries that were trying to become free from foreign, colonial, rule, like many nations in Asia and Africa. The Afro-Asian Conference held in Indonesian city of Bandung in 1955, commonly known as Bandung Conference, later led to the establishment of NUM. Means, in 1955, many Asian and African countries met in Bandung. This meeting encouraged unity and later helped in forming the non-aligned movement, NUM. The first summit of NUM was held in Belgrade in September 1961. Means, The official beginning of NUM happened in 1961 in Belgrade, where leaders of non-aligned countries met together. The Chinese invasion, 1962. The Tibetan spiritual leader the Dalai Lama sought and obtained political asylum in India in 1959. Means, Dalai Lama, leader of Tibet, escaped from China's control and came to India in 1959. India gave him protection and allowed him to stay safely. China alleged that the government of India was allowing anti-China activities to take place from within India. Means, China accused India of supporting people who were against China, especially Tibetan rebels, which created tension between both countries. A little earlier, a boundary dispute had surfaced between India and China. Means, before the war, there was already a disagreement between India and China about their border, who owns which land. China claimed 2 areas within the Indian territory. Means, China said that some parts of India actually belong to China. 1. Aksai Chin area in the Ladakh region of Jammu and Kashmir, and means, China claimed Aksai Chin in Ladakh, which is important because it connects China to Tibet. 2. Much of the state of Arunachal Pradesh in what was then called NEFA, Northeast Frontier Agency. Means, China also claimed Arunachal Pradesh, earlier called NEFA, saying it was part of their territory. China launched a swift and massive invasion in October 1962 on both the disputed regions. Means, in October 1962, China suddenly attacked India in both areas, Ladakh and Arunachal, with full military force. China declared a unilateral ceasefire and its troops withdrew to where they were before the invasion began. Means, after some time, China itself stopped the war, ceasefire, and pulled back its army, ending the conflict. Effects of Indo-China War. China war dented India's image at home and abroad. Means, India's reputation became weaker both inside the country and internationally because it lost the war and looked unprepared. India had to approach America and Britain for military assistance. Means, India needed urgent help, weapons, support, from countries like USA and UK, showing that it was not fully prepared on its own. The USSR remained neutral during the conflict. Means, Soviet Union, USSR, did not support India openly and stayed neutral, which was a setback for India. This war induced a sense of national humiliation and at the same time strengthened a spirit of nationalism. Means, people felt embarrassed and hurt because of defeat, but it also united the country and increased patriotism among citizens. Some of the top army commanders either resigned or were retired. Means, after the defeat, senior army officers were held responsible, so some left their positions or were removed. The then Defence Minister, V.K. Krishna Menon, had to leave the cabinet. Means, Defence Minister Krishna Menon was blamed for poor preparation and had to resign from the government. Nehru was severely criticized for his naive assessment of the Chinese intention and the lack of military preparedness. Means, Nehru was criticized for trusting China too much and not preparing the Indian army properly for war. Wars and Peace with Pakistan, Part 1. 1. The conflict started just after the partition over the dispute on Kashmir. Means, after 1947 partition, India and Pakistan disagreed over Kashmir. The ruler joined India, but Pakistan opposed it, leading to conflict. 2. The issue was then referred to the UNO. Means, India took the Kashmir issue to the United Nations. A ceasefire was suggested, but the problem remained unresolved. 3. The Kashmir conflict did not prevent cooperation between the governments of India and Pakistan. Means, despite tensions, both countries continued to cooperate in certain matters. 4. Both the governments worked together to restore the women abducted during partition to their original families. Means, many women were displaced during partition. India and Pakistan cooperated to return them to their families as a humanitarian effort. 5. The Indus Water Treaty was signed by Nehru and General Ayub Khan in 1960 with the mediation of the World Bank. Means, to resolve water disputes, both countries signed a treaty dividing river usage, which is still effective today. Wars and Peace with Pakistan, Part 2, 6. In April 1965, Pakistan launched armed attacks in the Run of Kutch area of Gujarat. Means, Pakistan started military action in the Run of Kutch, a border region in Gujarat, leading to tensions between the two countries. 7. This was followed by a bigger offensive in Jammu and Kashmir in August and September. Means, after the initial attack, Pakistan launched a larger military operation in Jammu and Kashmir, increasing the scale of conflict. 8. The then Prime Minister Shastri ordered Indian troops to launch a counter-offensive on the Punjab border. Means, Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri directed the Indian Army to respond strongly by attacking across the Punjab border. 9. In a fierce battle, the Indian Army reached close to Lahore. Means, during intense fighting, Indian forces advanced near Lahore, showing strong military resistance. 10. The hostilities came to an end with the UN intervention. Means, the United Nations stepped in and helped both countries agree to a ceasefire, ending the war. 11. Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri and Pakistan General Ayub Khan signed the Tashkent Agreement, brokered by the Soviet Union in January 1966. Means, in January 1966, both leaders signed a peace agreement in Tashkent with the help of the Soviet Union to formally end the conflict. Bangladesh War, 1971. 1. Beginning in 1970, Pakistan faced its biggest internal crisis. Means, Pakistan was divided into two parts, West Pakistan and East Pakistan. These regions were different in language, culture and development. East Pakistan felt neglected and treated unfairly. This led to serious internal problems in 1970. 2. The country's first general election produced a split verdict. Means, in 1970, Pakistan held its first general elections. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's party won in West Pakistan, while the Awami League led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman won in East Pakistan. The Awami League had more seats overall, so it should have formed the government, but power was not given to them. This created political tension. 3. The Pakistani army arrested Sheikh Mujib and unleashed a reign of terror on the people of East Pakistan. Means, the Pakistani army arrested Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and launched a military operation in East Pakistan. They used force to suppress people, killing civilians and destroying villages. This created fear and violence, and many people fled to India as refugees. 4. In response to this, the people started a struggle to liberate Bangladesh from Pakistan. Means, the people of East Pakistan started a freedom struggle against Pakistan. They formed resistance groups and demanded a separate nation called Bangladesh. This movement later led to the Bangladesh War of 1971 and the creation of Bangladesh as an independent country. Bangladesh War, 1971-5. Throughout 1971, India had to bear the burden of about 80 lakh refugees who fled East Pakistan and took shelter in the neighboring areas in India. Means, due to violence in East Pakistan, around 80 lakh people fled to India to save their lives. They settled in border states like West Bengal, Assam and Tripura. This created a huge economic and social burden on India as it had to provide them food, shelter and basic facilities. 6. Pakistan accused India of a conspiracy to break it up. Means, Pakistan believed that India was deliberately trying to divide Pakistan by supporting the people of East Pakistan. It accused India of interfering in its internal matters and helping the independence movement of Bangladesh. 7. Support for Pakistan came from the US and China. Means, during the conflict, Pakistan received political and strategic support from powerful countries like the United States and China. This made the situation more serious at the international level and increased pressure on India. 8. Henry Kissinger, advisor to the US President Richard Nixon, made a secret visit to China via Pakistan in July 1971. Means, Henry Kissinger, who was a top advisor to US President Richard Nixon, secretly visited China through Pakistan in July 1971. This showed that Pakistan was playing an important role in improving relations between the US and China, and it also strengthened support for Pakistan during the crisis. 9. In order to counter the US-Pakistan-China axis, India signed a 20-year treaty of peace and friendship with the Soviet Union in August 1971. Means, to balance the support that Pakistan was getting from the US and China, India signed a 20-year treaty of peace and friendship with the Soviet Union in August 1971. This helped India strengthen its position at the international level. 10. This treaty assured India of Soviet support if the country faced any attack. Means, according to this treaty, the Soviet Union promised to support India in case of any external attack or conflict. This gave India confidence and security during the crisis with Pakistan. 11. A full-scale war between India and Pakistan broke out in December 1971. Means, in December 1971, tensions turned into a major war between India and Pakistan. Both countries used their full military strength, and the war was fought on a large scale, especially in East Pakistan. 12. Within 10 days the Indian army had surrounded Dhaka from three sides and the Pakistani army of about 90,000 had surrendered. Means, The Indian army quickly advanced and surrounded Dhaka, the capital of East Pakistan, from three sides. Within just 10 days, around 90,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered. This was a historic victory for India and led to the creation of Bangladesh as an independent country. 13. With Bangladesh as a free country, India declared a unilateral ceasefire. Means, after Bangladesh became an independent country, India decided to stop the war on its own by declaring a unilateral ceasefire. This showed that India's main aim was not to capture territory but to help in the creation of Bangladesh. 14. Later, the signing of the Shimla Agreement between Indira Gandhi and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto on the 3rd of July 1972 formalized the return of peace between the two nations. Means, on the 3rd of July 1972, Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and Pakistan's leader Zulfikar Ali Bhutto signed the Shimla Agreement. This agreement officially restored peaceful relations between India and Pakistan and both agreed to resolve issues through peaceful means. 15. The fourth five-year plan could be initiated only in 1969. Means, due to wars and economic problems, India's fourth five-year plan was delayed and could start only in 1969 instead of earlier. This shows how conflicts affected India's development planning. 16. India's defense expenditure increased enormously after the wars. Means, after facing multiple wars, India realized the need for strong security. As a result, the government increased spending on defense, including army, weapons and military preparedness, which put additional pressure on the economy. India's nuclear program. 1. A significant nuclear program was initiated in the late 1940s under the guidance of Homi Jahangir Bhabha. Means, India started its nuclear program in the late 1940s under the leadership of Homi Jahangir Bhabha, who is known as the father of India's nuclear program. The aim was to develop scientific and technological strength in nuclear energy. 2. India wanted to generate atomic energy for peaceful purposes. Means, India's main objective was to use nuclear energy for peaceful uses such as generating electricity, agriculture and medical research, not for making weapons in the beginning. 3. The first nuclear explosion undertaken by India in May 1974, it was termed as a peaceful explosion. Means, India conducted its first nuclear test in May 1974 at Pokhran in Rajasthan. The government described it as a peaceful nuclear explosion, showing that India had developed nuclear capability but was not using it for war. 4. India conducted a series of nuclear tests in May 1998 demonstrating its capacity to use nuclear energy for military purposes. Means, in May 1998, India carried out multiple nuclear tests again at Pokhran. These tests showed that India now had the ability to use nuclear energy for military purposes and had become a nuclear power. India's nuclear policy. 1. India's nuclear policy has always been peace-oriented. Means, India has always followed a peaceful approach towards nuclear energy. It believes in using nuclear power responsibly and avoids unnecessary aggression or conflict. 2. India will keep nuclear weapons for its defense. Means, India maintains nuclear weapons only for security and protection purposes. The aim is to defend the country from threats, not to attack other nations. 3. Advocates, no first use, of nuclear weapons. But in view of contemporary regional security challenges, policy of, no first use, can be reviewed and changed in consonance with India's regional and national security. Means, India follows the, no first use, policy, which means it will not use nuclear weapons first in a conflict. However, due to changing security conditions in the region, this policy can be reconsidered or modified if required for national safety. 4. India is committed to ensuring its membership in the Nuclear Suppliers Group, NSG, and opposing partisan and unjust nuclear treaties like CTBT and NPT. Means, India wants to become a member of the Nuclear Suppliers Group, NSG, to participate in global nuclear trade. At the same time, it opposes treaties like CTBT and NPT because it considers them unfair and discriminatory towards countries like India. India's nuclear policy. 1. Peace-oriented means, India follows a peaceful approach in its nuclear policy and believes in responsible use of nuclear energy. 2. Manufacture of nuclear weapons according to security and necessity. Means, India develops nuclear weapons only when required for national security and defense, not for aggressive purposes. 3. No first use, of nuclear weapon means, India follows the policy of not using nuclear weapons first in any conflict. 4. In view of national security, no first use, policy can be reviewed. Means, India can reconsider or change its no first use policy if the national security situation demands it. 5. Committed to ensure its membership in NSG means India aims to become a member of the Nuclear Suppliers Group, NSG, to participate in global nuclear trade and cooperation. 6. Opposing unjust nuclear treaties like CTBT and NPT means India opposes treaties like CTBT and NPT because it considers them unfair and discriminatory towards developing countries.